Yo, what's going on? It's Terrell, Hall of Fame, D-Line, TBKC, and all that sweet, beautiful, wonderful shit. All right, man, so we was just talking dogs, so let's talk dogs. But like I say, as everybody sits here and says these things, everybody knows so much. You know, I guess I'm in a mood today, and everybody knowing so much is driving me nuts. But I want y'all to think about this and explain to me, what is an exotic? What are you seeing from the exotics? What are you seeing from these dogs that, what makes them deformed like they are? What makes their heads and the different things and their looks look differently? Why are the rear ends getting higher, you know? Why are the backs slanted? Why is it that these dogs have super bad breathing problems, but even a nicely bred English Bulldog doesn't have those problems? A good bred French Bulldog doesn't have those problems, you know? Why is it, and what is it that would make a dog like Beanstalk have this ridiculously wide chest that no other breed has? Because y'all say certain things can't be done. So let's talk about it. You know what I mean? The funniest thing, and I use some of these dogs because these are the most extreme cases of seeing genetics change. Y'all always talk about Bulldog, this Bulldog. What Bulldog made Beanstalk? Simply just Bulldog. What Bulldog made Beanstalk? And then, you know what I mean? Because y'all always say it just had to be. That is a morphing of genetics. That's what that is. It's no Bulldog walking around right now that has those type of features, that type of overdone chest and all that. It's no Bulldog that carries that. For one, it's a ridiculous feature to have, and it's very non-functional. But at the same time, that's something that Bashar is an example of what he has done in his yard, to where he consistently overdoes the width of the chest. That's what he tries to do. He consistently compounds it. So if you look from generation to generation, like if you look to you know, Mr. Beans was wider than Magoo. Then you go to Beanstalk got wider. Then his new boy, the Tri-Boy, he looks like he's even wider than Beanstalk. This is something that Bashar is doing because he is breeding towards those characteristics, and it's working. He is going towards very, very extreme features, and it's coming to fruition. Now you can always go back to the original part and say, what dogs did he add? And we won't debate that because it's known that there's some sauce in there. But the same thing is that those dogs aren't the reason that chest is popping out like that. That's gene manipulation. That has very much so nothing to do with the other shit that he was doing. He's manipulating the genes. You know, the same thing that you see with German Shepherds as to why their rear ends are super, super low now. That's gene manipulation. There were no German Shepherds with their fucking rears that low before. You know, you can go through every breed and I can tell you the excessive, super excessive wrinkles of the Neapolitan Mastiff. What breed did they use to make the dog have wrinkles that hang down to his damn feet now? They didn't use a breed. That's called gene manipulation. And if it's anything that's there that you can manipulate, whether it's a physical characteristic or something behind the dog, you can manipulate the genes through selective breeding for this to happen. We have seen it in many breeds. It's one of the reasons why the English Bulldog has gotten messed up, because throughout the years, if you go back, I'll say if you go back 30 years, and you look at the English Bulldog, they actually had muzzles. They actually could breathe a lot better than they do now. But because people want a cute, pushed in face English Bulldogs, that's what you have now. And now you have severe breathing problems. That's gene manipulation, all in a bad way. So the same thing goes for when you want gene manipulation to come forward in a good way. In a good way, you know, if you notice slight things with your dogs, maybe his feet, maybe this or that or the other, you know, you go towards breeding very, very tight feet. You know, a trait that you might want. I know that's one of my things. I love tight feet, so I try to pick dogs with tight feet. If you want more bone, you find a dog that has more bone. If you want more size, you might find a dog inside that breed. And believe me when I tell you this, every single breed Every single breed in every canine has gigantism and they have dwarfism. Now, some breeds are dwarfism breeds, and it makes it less likely that those dwarfism breeds can have gigantism as such with the mastiffs, that they are gigantism breeds, so it makes it less likely that they can have dwarfism, but they do have the possibility to have it. The genes are not totally out of those breeds. You have seen there's pictures of some Rottweilers who have had dwarfism, you know, and that's a mastiff breed. But the one thing about it is, and we've learned that even through our human beings, is that if the dwarfism gene presents itself, it's a high propensity that if two little people have a child, it's a way higher propensity that even though both of their parents, all of their parents could have been normal sized people, now that these two people who are little people have a child, it's a high propensity that they will have another little person as their child. It's a very, very high odds that that's going to happen. The same thing with gigantism. If in this situation, and that is changed where you've seen areas around the world and tribes that excessive height. You know, the Inca tribe in Africa is a very similar. Is a very great example as to where throughout the years that they're definitely the world's largest tribe. I believe it's the Incas, but. They're the world's largest tribe, but if you do the studies and go back, they weren't always that tall. But the thing of it is that their own genes magnified inside their tribe. So you had, you know, once upon a time, you might have had, you know, 5'8" women, you know what I'm saying, having baby with 6'4" guys. But as they continue to do this, the next generation would elevate. So then you went from a situation to where you had, you know, which was still tall, 5'8" and 6'4", to now you have, you know, 6'5" women and 7'2" guys. And 7-footers in their tribe is not that rare at all. You know, this is the way genetics work. The more that we enhance genetics or compound genes or whatever the case may be, you can make good or bad whatever it is you're trying to make. But at the same time, it takes discipline, because sometimes in that process, you may be aiming for a certain characteristic and you just don't get it. But that doesn't mean that it's not in the genetic profile. So you might have to go to the next one and enhance that gene even more. And sometimes on the second swing, it doesn't work, but it's enhanced again. So finally, when it does hit, all of a sudden it's boom, you know, and you have what you're looking for. I put that into the situation of like when you talk about some of the more bullier dogs that we've seen that I know came about naturally. You know, if you look at a Little Row is a product of dwarfism. Although his dad was a big monster, Little Row is a product of dwarfism. Then you take, you know, a female with very thick genetics, and Paco is still a product of dwarfism. He just had, you know, better genes as far as conformation go, and the size came upon him. Now, as he went along, he produced, you know, they went away from the dwarfism traits that would cause difficulty, but the height of the dwarf stayed there. And anytime that you compounded Paco, dwarfism presented itself, and the dogs got shorter and shorter and shorter. Henceforth, Gargoyle, where Gargoyle, with Paco being 16 inches, Gargoyle was 14 inches, but Gargoyle carried stronger dwarfism traits, almost reverting back to Little Row, where he had the underbite and he had the messed up tail. You know, it's a lot to genetics that we could talk about for hours and hours, but I hope to start changing the mindset of some people in this community that everything has to be a debate and some bullshit arguments about things that people don't know about. Science, manipulation of genetics, it is very, very real, and you can make some incredible dogs. I'm about to show y'all. You know what I mean? I look at stuff right now, and the way I envision stuff is so much different than most people, because I've seen it work. So, you know what I mean? I look at a puppy and I'm just looking at certain features. I'm looking at how big the rib cage is, how big the ears are. And you know, because I already know that heads pop. I already know that the bone will advance as they get older. A lot of the real American bully puppies won't come in with gigantic bone. They just don't. Now, some do. Mandela had big bone when he was born, but a lot of them, they develop it. It really starts to thicken up between 6 months to a year, and then it just like really gets dense after a year old, and you see that happen also. But you know, I think it would be great for a lot of the, especially younger or newer breeders who are doing this thing, to get some knowledge on what real dogs are and stop feeding into the hype train. Because the more we go into the hype train, you're going to have people making you believe that you have to do certain things with your dogs, which ultimately are going to be a detriment to your dog's health and a detriment to this breed, man. But once again, hopefully I'll be back soon. I can promise you guys this: Sunday morning I'm going to do a live, and we're going to get it in, and we're going to have a good time. And I need to get that stress out of my life. So I look forward to talking to y'all, man. Much love to y'all. God bless. Peace.